Greetings to everyone. As we have studied the poem Rain on the Roof, we have got to know that this poem has been illustrated by the poet with certain different poetic devices. This illustration has been done to the poem to make it more attractive, more presentable, and more noticeable by the readers. And this is what exactly the poetic devices do. The poetic devices, or we can call it as the figure of speech, they are used by different authors and poets to make their writing piece, to make their composition more attractive, to make it more interesting for the reader to read, and make it more noticeable. So, if we talk about the poem Rain on the Roof, there are different devices which has been used in the poem that has added much more interest to the poem. So, we are going to discuss few of them. The first device which has been used in Rain on the Roof poem is alliteration. Yes, alliteration is basically a poetic device or a figure of speech in which the occurrence of same letter or sound in the beginning of the adjacent or the close connected words are being done. So, if the same alphabet is being repeated 2 or more times adjacent to each other, we mention it as alliteration device. For example, lie listening. So here L, this alphabet has been repeated continuously in 2 different words just next to each other. They are adjacent to each other. It can be 3 also, it can be 4 also, but minimum accepting criteria is 2. If we talk about the next example, we have starry sphere. So here, the letter which has been repeated is S, starry sphere. So this is how alliteration works. Moving to the next poetic device which has been used in this poem is personification. Personification is when a human characteristics is attributed to a non-human characteristic, non-human thing. When a non-living thing is presented as a living thing. For example, melancholy darkness weeps in rainy tears. Now we all know that darkness, night, it is non-human. There is no life in it. But as it has been mentioned, weeps in rainy tears. So weeping is a characteristics of a human being, but it is related and it is mentioned here with a non-living or a non-human aspect, that is darkness. So this is how personification is used as a poem to more specify it, for the more specification of it. Moving to the third poetic device, we have onomatopoeia. Now, this device is basically used when the sound of any word is used to make it recognized. Okay, the word formed by the particular object is considered as the name of it. For example, patter. Now, here in this poem, we have studied that the raindrops were creating patter sound. So, patter is actually somehow the sound actually related to raindrops, right? Another word has been used, that is tinkle. Now, when you drop a coin, it makes a tinkling sound. So here the sound is being used to correlate or to associate the exact word to it. Moving to the next device, we have metaphor. Metaphor is a device which is basically used to compare two things. Like if the comparison is done with one particular thing along with the second. For example, shadows. Here shadows refer to clouds. Now, the difference is we generally have one more device which is used for comparison, that is simile, right? But the difference between a simile and a metaphor is when we use simile, we use the word as or like. But when we talk about metaphor, the comparison is done straight. Like suppose we give the example, he plays like Sachin Tendulkar. He plays cricket like Sachin Tendulkar. So here we are comparing the way he plays the cricket like Sachin Tendulkar, and we have used the word like. So it will be simile. But if you say he is the Sachin Tendulkar of the class, so again we are comparing his game skills with Sachin Tendulkar's, but we have not used the word as or like. So a comparison which is done without using the word as or like is considered as a metaphor device. Now, the fifth device which has been used here is transferred epithet. Now, this is a device where an adjective is used to describe one thing is transferred to another, right? So it is used to describe one matter, but it automatically transferred and described the other. So like here, melancholy. Melancholy has been used as an adjective to describe that how dark is, how night is. But here, darkness itself is using as an adjective for the night. So this is how this device is being used. So I think all the 5 devices which has been used in the poem, wrote not up the rain on the roof, is clear to you all. This will definitely help us to illustrate the poem or the writing piece being composed by the students. Thank you, everyone.